Hello everyone, I'm Utaki, and if you didn't know, recently Igni had his tournament, and I managed to get 9-1 in Swiss with tier 2 spell boost rune, and tier 3, I would argue it's tier 3 evolve portal. So I wanted to talk a bit about like why I chose this decks, like what was my meta read, how did I like come towards making the decision of playing like these decks. So I guess we'll start off with Whammy Spell Boost. So Whammy Spell Boost is obviously like high tier 2, I would assume, especially since there's like a lot of Evo, Forest, and Enhanced Sword. This deck usually does pretty well against both of them. Even Crystal Rune, which I usually refer to as Chess Rune. It's pretty good in the meta, although now I have seen Evo Forest play a bit of Tripper Skipper. I'm not really sure if it's that good into Evo Forest anymore, especially if more people are gonna attack in the Tripper Skipper. If I would make changes to this deck, I would probably cut the Advent back to 2, and then maybe bump up the Haiku Master, and probably like take out a Tidings for Odin. I did see the JP list have one Odin, which I think is probably correct because you do need more damage. But the main consensus of this deck is basically you keep Angrea, you keep all your draw spells. Huon is like a finisher, but mostly you want to win off tempo, you want to win off board, and most of the time you need like Ara. I would always keep Angrea plus a draw spell if I think I'm against like any aggro lineup. So example, against Milteo, I would keep Stormy Blast, I'll keep the Elk Crystals. Sometimes this comes up, but most of the time I find I actually had Lethal one game where I played 2 of these just for the Storm, because it was 4 damage and like damage good. The Declimb is like a pretty greedy keep, but most of the time I think you're just high rolling anyways. This is a very high roll deck, but most of the time it's very consistent. I think Whammy was like one of my most consistent against a lot of like Evo Forest especially. I think my lineup was basically just to snipe all the Evolve Forests, especially. I think that is a very popular deck right now. And there's not really much to say other than the, like, you just gotta make a big board. The Demonic Call Kuon does come up sometimes, because especially the Aura, or the Shikigami, the very big Shikigami. The Ward Aura is very useful. Although again, we don't know if the Tripper Skipper is probably... I think it will become a staple eventually. Especially since like, if they can't outboard, they're not winning, so using the Super Evo on the Tripper Skipper is pretty good against this deck. But other than that, it's like pretty standard. I think it can still be used in tournaments. It's just it's gonna be way harder if more people are tagging to out stuff like this. In more pure Crystal Rune builds, they sometimes run like a Divine Thunder, maybe multiple ones, so like just a lot of hard removal. But if you manage to get the barriers out with the, especially Angrea plus the Wemdas barrier is pretty strong, like this deck would be so much better. But I think people will start tagging for it as like, it's a very big meta threat. I do want to talk about Evo Portal, because I am a Portal main, and I think I performed the best with Portalcraft. I only lost 1 game in Swiss, and that was the Sat Feeder. But hey, what can you do against Sat Feeder, man? This list, the one-off slot is the Galenis, because my previous list in the tournament I had Ilsa, She did come up in 2 games. One game was to clear a Krill bot, which was ambushed, and the other game, I believe it was to clear some other wide bot. I can't remember. There were too many games, but you mostly want to keep your 2 drops, right? These are your premium 2 drops. UD is your premium 3 drop. You can have LX. LX is actually like such a strong card. I don't know why, like this is such a underrated card, right? You can play Shorty. When you're going second, you can coin it out, force your opponent to clear it, because they do know the threat of like leaving it on board. If it's against Evil Forest, you can keep it on 2, play this on 2, you can play LX on 3, you just punish their 2 PP into the free Evo card. It's a very, very strong combo. Or you can play Shorty and the Unfailing on 4. Same with Puppet, you can XL 3 and then play this for 1. Or you can play Mirat on 6 and then play LX on 1. This deck doesn't focus on playing for multiple Senderphons, especially because after playtesting so much, I do not think you can land more than a single Senderphon. It's very, very hard to like land the second one. Especially in like now people can just make such a wide board and you can't really clear it. The only whiteboard answer is Chaos Legion that Portal has, which is another problem I have with this deck. If you're clearing board with things like Chaos Legion, your board is just empty and you just die to like Evil Forest and the phone. I would say the Forest matchup is very 50-50. Even though like you may be going first or second, you really have to make sure they don't like hit crazy Evo points. Like if they manage to get like example a turn 6 Sanderphon, you might be in a bit of trouble. And also against Forest, I would keep Orcus. Orcus is such a good card, especially into the new 8 drop. Yes, trading Orcus feels bad, but you're basically just trading for Super Evo. And if you don't know, you can use Yogg for the token. You can copy Zwei. Zwei can become a 2 PP. You can play Orcus and Zwei. That is a very neat combo that you can actually do. It has come up before, but it's very hard to... Obviously, like, this deck requires a lot of setup. It's very hard to set up your cards here. If you don't have Chaos Legion 90% of the time, I think you're losing to most of the decks. And Camisilla is basically... You can think of her as like a filler card towards the Orcus turn. Because sometimes you just play the Lancer and you want to keep the enhanced puppet anyways for the Orcus. You can just use her as a curve filler on turn 7 as a 7 drop. But other than that, it's mostly... I think it's like fine. It's just missing like a small push to becoming way better. Now I have tested like 2 Senderphon, 3 Senderphon. Why I think it's bad? 1, I have been playing since Shadowverse Classic and I genuinely hate Invocation as a mechanic. And every time I draw my Senderphon, I just get tilted, right? Especially because the crest is actually so important, which I will talk more about it later. But sometimes the healing is so relevant. But if it's like very fast games, you will want to see him early so you can just slam him down. Especially since cause Cammy can just give you a bunch of free rolls and boost the Senderphon properly. You can also copy the Cammy with the Yogg token, make her 4 PP. You play Cammy on for 4 and then you play Senderphon. And she will Evo the Senderphon as well. You just make a wide board. Most of the time, You can think of this deck like a spell boost rune, right? But instead of asking them to out your board in one turn, you just constantly ask them to out your board. This deck is very, very demanding of an answer from your opponent, right? The only bad matchups I would say for this deck, I would say Loot is a bad matchup. I would also say Haven is unironically a bad matchup for you, just because they play so many clear. Yes, they may play 2 cups, but even like a Blinding Faith, maybe like a Marwyn Crest, like it's all these tiny things, right? Because Porto can't really stick a board unless they play like Zwei, into Myriad, into Chemicilla. Like that's just a crazy out my board into out my board. That does happen sometimes. If it happens, it happens, man. It's pretty nutty. It's a nutty, very nutty board. Another thing I want to say, UD Curse is actually really relevant sometimes, especially because you don't have any heal in this deck. Well, ignoring the one of Gillennies I have at the moment, because let's just pretend this Elsa. Evoing UD is actually not bad. If you have a low hand because you spammed out cards in the first 1 to 3 turns, and then you have UD going 4 for 2nd, like 4 for 5th, sorry, on the 4th or 5th turn, having the extra draw / heal is actually quite relevant for you. Especially because sometimes, again, I might draw my Sandaphon, and the crest is actually really important. But the UD crest it actually saves me from a bunch of like Albert lethals, because Albert does maximum 14 with a singular Ymetra Faith. If it's like double Ymetra, you gotta play a bit better with like your hand. That's like a total other can of worms to open, really. But just know that against most decks, I wouldn't say keep Orcus, but Orcus is actually like a really, really good answer to most of the cards in the meta, which is kind of crazy that this is like a set 1 menace and it's rotating soon. But yeah, this deck, I have one off Orcus more than I have one off like Chemicilla or Chaos Legion, or even Sandaphon. But most of the time, these decks, when they do perform well, they really pop off. I do have some replays that I saved. So in the Swiss round, I fought like the SKO champion, and I also fought Ren and Set Feeder, and I lost to Alejandro in the playoffs. So against the SKO champion who was running, he ran Evo Forest twice. I actually can showcase the power of the Wemdas and the Evo Portal against like against Forest at least, because I think that's what most people like, they want to know what, like how to counter Evo Forest especially. But I guess you just gotta know that, yeah, I keep this because against Forest, I'm going second. Which means I get a Super Evo first. If I can Super Evo first, I'll definitely keep Wemdas. Wemdas is so strong here. So here I'm just hoping we can just draw into more engine, draw into more spell boost cards. And it's honestly just go with the flow at this point. Drew a Blaze Destroyer. I think I coined Tidings here. The reason I coined Tidings, he skipped his turn 2, and he could just play like the 3-drop goal. So I have a Stormy Blast in hand. I might as well just coin out the thing. Although I cannot Angria, I can technically save them for a turn 8 Angria plus Wemdas. So it's not like a bad thing necessarily, because on my turn 8, it might be my turn 7 because I could also coin this out. And when I coin this out, they can't play the Elthina. Even if they can play Elthina, they do kill the Whamness. However, there is still gonna be a ward that the Elthina can't kill unless they swing twice. And that just leaves more of my followers alive. So they do play the Outlands here. I drew another Stormy Blast off the top. Might as well just play it there. Now we are having a dead turn 4 here. He does spend the turn playing Grangita. I did draw the Elk Crystal, so I'll just play that and pass. I'll keep my Stormy Blast in case of the Elthina or something. Plays Miracle, plays the broken 4-drop. I think it's still fine here. We can Ungrea it. Ungrea is such a amazing enabler. Again, it's a set 1 card, so it will rotate soon. Plays the Crow, evos the Crow here. And plays another Fairy here. I do decide to play my Ungrea Blaze Destroyer and just pass here. The Whamness is pretty big. And he does commit a Super Evo here. So I'm thinking to myself, if he's gonna play Elthina here, I might as well just bait it out, right? I can just play a cool one here. So I just decide to play a cool one. And then we coin the Stormy Blast. Just so we can leave up a board, right? Because Forest can't deal with a board, especially because he used a Super Evo, which is so good for us. He plays Cupitan. Pretty annoying, I would say. Cupitan is really another, like, crazy card. Now, here I'm just thinking, like, what if we just go all in, right? We kinda have to go all in here. And then I decide to play the Crystal Spawn. Like, honestly, this board isn't as bad. If he plays Elthina, I still have 2 pawns, but I do have 2 auras in hand, which is quite good. He does get the Faith, very annoying, but he uses the spell, and I'm just thinking like, oh, he didn't draw the 8 draw, so I just win. And yeah, I mean, sometimes such is life, right? They just don't have it, but Whamness for the win. And it just shows like, if they really can't out it, this is such a threat. It's such a good card. 2 Angrias there was also quite good. And then we can see the Portal game against Evo for again, I did say this is a pretty 50-50 matchup. If you're going first, it's quite rough. It's quite rough. Unless their hand is also just as bad, right? They do have coin 8 drop. So I decide to keep my UD Zwei. UD is just good going first. Zwei is also pretty good going first. It's not that bad, but like compared to going second, but it can clear the 4 drop at least, because he is gonna evolve first. So we do need that to clear the 4 drop. We drew Chaos Legion, which is quite good for us here. He decides to coin the 2 drop. I think it's fine. I draw my Ursa here. My 1-off. He just plays it. And then I just decide to UD. Play the puppet and just trade everything. I wonder if he will. So here, if he just does that, I think it's fine, right? Because I do have Shoddy and the Yogg, which is enough to clear the Miroku. It's very good. And as expected, he played the 4 drop, and thankfully we kept Zwei. We did draw another one, but I think it's still pretty good to just have it. And always remember here, you always want to keep board. I would rather keep 2 wards than like a fully health Zwei. Because even then, if you don't keep the ward or not, they have Glade, they have Cupitan, they have Miroku. They're always gonna be able to clear something. Play Myriad here because it's actually quite hard for him to out it. Especially because he used the Cupitan. And I'm like, oh, I can just play it out here. And he decides to keep the Crow ambushed. So we can play Elisa. She's such a... It's so funny how she came up in this game. But she is a pretty sick addition to the deck. It's a one-off, honestly. And he used his Super Evo here, so I'm like, do I just go all in? So I'm just like, yeah, screw it. Super Evo Zoe. And I have York, and I just copy Zoe. I copy one only. I do want to keep the second one. And always keep board. That's why I want York on the field. I want York on the field. And he did invoke the second Sendophon. Plays out Miroku. Plays out Cupitan. That's the second Cupitan we've seen. And he has the face. He has the faith. I'm like, oh no, he has it again. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just go all in again. Play this white, Evo her because we have the Grand Jita that we drew. And I do decide to copy Zwei, especially because we drew Orcus here. He plays the cat, Evos with the spell, plays Outlands. I'm like, I know the cards in his hand. I know everything in his hand. Because it's two Sendophons. And I'm like, okay, I can play Orcus Zwei. And he draws the Eltina, but it's just not enough against Chaos Legion. And we just take the game here. Very good game, but I would say in this particular match, I felt like he just bricked. It was a very unfortunate hand for him, obviously. And we did have, like, a pretty good setup there. I do also want to show I guess the games against Ren here, against Milteo. Because people are thinking Milteo is like an impossible matchup, which 90% of the time it is. It is a very horrible matchup for you if you are playing against Milteo. So against Milteo here, I just mulligan everything that is not Stormy Blast and draw. I just want as much removal as I can get, right? Because like Stormy Blast is just good against like literature if they have it on one. I drew the third Stormy Blast and I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Stormy Blast is just good. Plays the World of Games, which I'm quite happy to see, honestly. So here I just decide to draw. Like, it is annoying that he has a 1-1 on the board, but I have two Stormy Blasts. He plays the Rage of Serpents here. He's quite low on resources, although he does have the World of Games. I'm just thinking I need to remove as much board as possible. He can't coin Gravy yet, which is great. It's so good that he doesn't like keep his coin for Gravy. And that's the one of Yuna that he plays. I was quite surprised about the Yuna actually. And especially that he even drew it. Here I just scam out a Blaze Destroyer and just pray. Cause I don't think he can really do anything against this, right? Especially cause he can't coin the Milteo out. And wow, we just have a bot here. I drew my Elk Crystal and he just can't out it. And if he plays Milteo here, I just win. Yeah, I mean sometimes the classic Angria can just win games for you. It's a very, very strong card, especially with the Blaze Destroyer. But here I just scammed him. And then the next match he queued the Chess Rune, Crystal Rune. I do think Crystal Rune is a pretty bad matchup for both my decks actually. But if they can't out-the-wham this, they can't out-the-wham this. And here's just the portal against Milteo, which I was... Genuinely, this was the lineup I didn't want to fight at all. I think this was the worst lineup I could ever like get. So my mulligan here, I kept Zwei, mulligan everything else. I looked at this hand, I'm like, I don't have a 2-drop. I'm cooked. But we have 2 turns to draw one. We have 1 turn to draw one. And I was just praying like, please, 2-drop, 2-drop, 2-drop. Hey, we drew it. We drew the 2-drop off the top. Pretty good. He plays the ghost in the literature. I think I'm fine with that. I just decide to go wide here. Oh, we drew... Okay. We drew the Puppeteer Lancer. Classic. Now here it's... I just decide to play the Grandjita. I want to stay as wide as possible again. Especially because, again, he can't play Aragavi yet. He draws the Yuna again. Here I just play Zwei. I'm just thinking... Yeah, I should just trade the Victoria. If he plays Gravy, at least he has to trade it into the Victoria here. He doesn't have Gravy. Pretty unfortunate for him. Bibati is quite good though, but our Puppeteer lives. We can just play the Puppet, Evo Dem, Evo Face. Very strong tempo turn. He has the audit with Milteo. Obviously he has it. Plays the Milteo here. Plays the Lilith. Then we just play Substandard Puppet and the York. Reason is, I don't want to give him any Bat Drain. Because Bat Drain is very, very strong and would take away all the damage I have done. So here he just decides to chill and play one ghost, right? I'm just thinking, yeah, I could send the phone. And I just play Camisilla here. Copy the Cami, Evo the Cami. And just hit face. Trade the whole board. And we get the heal. Like, this is why the crest is so good. They can just heal the whole board. But the thing is, if you play 3 Thunderfun, it's gonna be really hard to manage your hand as well. I'm just praying he just trades everything here. Unfortunately, he has so many ghosts and I'm just like, shiver me timbers. Just play Chaos Legion, don't give him any drain, because I think I managed to count all the ghosts he had in hand. And he just didn't have the Razor Claw. And we just won off that. Very close match, I think. Like, it genuinely is like the lineup I don't want to see at all. But yeah, that is my tournament experience for the Igni tournament. Thank you, Igni, for hosting. And if you, the viewer, enjoyed, hope you consider going over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Utaki with 4 eyes, because I changed my name again. Yeah, but I don't know if I'm ever putting up YouTube content again. But yeah, if you want to see my list, you can check out my Twitter. It's gonna be in the pinned comment. And yeah, see you guys. Bye.